What's going on, people? Welcome to another episode of the Off the Ball podcast with me, your host, Chris LeBron. And we got a special edition. I know you know me as a Knicks fan, and I love talking ball and even love talking Nets. So I got a special guest with me. You know him on Twitter as BKN says. What's going on, my man?
My friend, long time overdue for you and I to sit down and speak. A lot of stuff has gone down, stuff that I didn't really was a fan of initially,
Mhm.
obviously, but happy to sit down and talk to you during this crazy time of the NBA trade deadline and the season that we've been seeing. First of all, how you doing?
I'm good, man. Can't complain. Like I said, just diving into all these this craziness that's going on in the National Basketball Association. And a little thing happened in Brooklyn, man. I don't know if you've heard about it, but your point guard is in Dallas now, and so let's get right into it.
Indeed.
Kyrie Irving is now a member of the Dallas Mavericks. Obviously, it's been kind of a bumpy ride. It's been a bumpy ride, for Kyrie and your Nets, for these last, what 3+ years, 3-4 years, and all that. And what's crazy is that this news pops up. The news popped up of him asking for a trade when things were going. Obviously KD's not there, but you guys were still staying afloat, still the fourth seed. No drama going on. We didn't hear about anything. Kyrie's hooping, just got named All-Star starter. Things are going relatively well. And then we hear the news of the trade, and then we hear more, stuff that, he wanted a contract, but, Josiah and everyone, Sean Marks wanted a lot of provisions in the deal, a lot of language that they wanted in that deal. And Kyrie and his camp didn't want that, and that kind of led to him for wanting out. And then kind of pretty quickly they got him to Dallas and all that. So just your initial thoughts on when you heard the news, and then when you got when you found out that that Kyrie is heading to Dallas.
Yeah. So initially, with all the basketball reasoning and the Nets being somewhat having I guess you could say a normal season for what they're used to.
It really was, especially the
Bas-
last
it really was.
last few months. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, and I'll be honest with you, the 12 game winning streak, the health, everything was rolling, and I was actually enjoying myself, and enjoying basketball again, and things were coming around. But my initial reaction to you know his request was
Hmm.
fishy, so to speak,
Yeah.
because, like you said, he was playing at a very high level, named the All-Star starter for this year, which we haven't seen in a very, very long time with,
Hmm.
you know, in Nets history, for a very long time. I can't even, I call myself, I mean, I should know that answer, but I don't know it off the top of my head. However, I was excited. It was nice to see. Things were exciting. Things were moving in the right direction, but fishy and odd. And as you said, the contract stipulations, the extension talk, it was obvious this man wanted to be paid, right? After talks of the off season, the extension talk.
Hmm.
Is he gonna be a net for life after coming to his senses, so to speak, and understanding that he did several things wrong under this franchise, and really just kept poking the bear. And obviously, general manager Sean Marks, owner Joe Tsai, they put, in my opinion, those stipulations and those incentives that were in that contract probably just pushed Kyrie a little bit too over the edge, and
100%.
they probably couldn't be met from him.
Nah.
We all know Kyrie doesn't do things for other people. Kyrie does things for himself,
Yep.
and sadly, I'm gonna have to say that publicly. He does things for himself.
Hmm.
Uh, I love him as a basketball player. I don't think I love him as an individual. He does great things off the court. He does
Hmm.
finer things on the court. Loves him for
Hmm.
his on-court play, and sad to see him go. But you know what? I think it was time, and I think when the request was made, then that was just the cherry on top of the Nets, and he got out of here very quickly. And yeah, that was my initial reaction. Very, very strange, but you know what? It was time to go, and they moved.
I think just for looking at it as just a basketball fan, it's it was just it's a crazy situation. I mean, like, I think a lot of people really want to love Kyrie Irving. I really do. There's a lot of things he does that's very likable, but then you have the stuff that's like,
No
okay,
doubt.
that turns people off, and I get that side, and I also think there's a lot of things that were even out of Kyrie's, out of Kyrie's hands, like the whole New York City mandate stuff. Like,
Of course.
there's nothing he can do about that. Like, that's just happened to he just happens to play in the state that has that rule, and
Yes.
and that wasn't in the plans. That wasn't in the plans to happen, right? We didn't,
No,
that
that
was
wasn't in the
not
script.
that wasn't in the script, right?
Yeah.
They like to talk about scripts, like in NFL they had the whole thing, like there's a script and all that, like how the season played out. Like, that wasn't in the script. That was like, whoa, this is a typo. Like, this isn't supposed to happen, and it happened.
Correct.
And there's not really a way, and he had his way. He didn't want to take a shot and all that, and you have to respect that. And there was people that were on his side with that, but that was an unfortunate situation, and that kind of what led to Harden leaving, and
Yeah.
all that. And like, it's just, we can look at, and I could see the whole thing, and like, I do think it's one of the biggest what ifs in NBA history, and one of the biggest disappointments in NBA history is this collection. But if I'm Brooklyn, I don't regret doing it. I know there might be regret and all that, but I think 29 other teams were trying to do the same thing. Whether they had the cap space
I'd
or
agree
not, they
with
would
that.
have loved to. They would, especially if you're dangling. It's Kevin Durant. Yes, he was coming off the Achilles, but you know, if I have to get Kyrie Irving, to get Kevin Durant, then that's what you got
Nine
to
out of
do.
ten, right?
Most
Yeah.
teams, every team would have done it. In most teams would have done it. That didn't have, established guys. So I think it's unfortunate, but if you're Brooklyn, now you focus on basketball. And now,
Yeah.
now this the Kevin Durant thing, and we don't obviously he wanted out in the offseason, and
Yep.
that's going to be a big thing. I don't think he's going to axe out. We're going to get 2 more days to the deadline. So I think maybe in the off season, that's a whole other thing. But you'd be able to just, if Kevin wants out, then you trade him and you get a lot of pieces back, and you just build your basketball team and do it the way you guys were doing it before, where people actually liked Brooklyn. People weren't, you don't become the villain and all this. So you
Right.
get back to basketball, but you get away from the Kyrie stuff, and and you just focus on basketball. And so Cam Thomas has had 2 40-point games since then.
Man, oh man.
He's hoping. You get Spencer back, Dinwiddie, who did good things for you, and he was pretty solid basketball this year. Dorian Finney-Smith comes back in the deal. You get some picks, so you kind of replenish, some stuff that you kind of lost in the Harden deal. And you just get back to basketball. And, that's what Kevin Durant wants. He just wants to hoop. And you guys are still a top 5 seed. So you get back to basketball. Sometimes that's, and like I said, we were seeing that from you guys, and then the trade stuff. And then you get back, people get riled up again, because that's what Kyrie, when you say Kyrie Irving and he's in the news, people get riled up about him. But you get back to basketball, and you just get back to just enjoying watching Brooklyn. Because I'm sure if you're a Nets fan, it was kind of stressful, because it's like, it's not about basketball. It's just about nonsense. And
Correct.
that's just not a fun way to watch the game. But, I think this could be a good thing. Obviously losing Kyrie sucks because we know the talent, but what's the feeling? What's the feeling around with the Nets fans? What's Nets world feeling right now?
Well,
Is there
as
are you guys anxious? Are you nervous because now this, the KD stuff? Maybe is he the next domino to fall? Is it? Are you like, all right, we're relieved? Like, what's the feeling with Nets world right now?
Well, I think we all just want to keep trying to contend and be obviously a championship contender like we were with the duo or the trio that we once had. However, there's for me personally, there's some sort of emptiness right now, because you don't know how Durant feels, and obviously, like you
Yes.
mentioned, he mentioned already that he wanted out. He was the first off-season request. He wanted
Yeah.
out of Brooklyn. He wanted his demands met as well. And to be honest with you, man, I think low key, I think that they know he wants out already, obviously, and it was publicly known in the offseason, this previous offseason, and they might just do something just because and get him out of town and just have him go and listen to offers and listen to everything that people are going to call about because
Hmm.
he already made the request.
Yeah.
Maybe they just don't want to tarnish his name now publicly again, and that might be better for both parties. However, I think the Nets fans are operating and going through this as if Durant is going to stay, and we're going to wait and see what other move to be made to make him happy, so to speak, and he could look at the roster and be like, I can make this team a contender. Which, what do you believe? It's tough to say, and and let's be honest, a lot of these trades that have gone down off season, middle of the year, the value of players and picks is all out of whack now,
Oh
based
yeah.
off a couple trades. So I don't know what Sean Marks can pull out of the bag, but yeah, I would say there's feeling of emptiness, anxiousness, and somewhat obviously uncertainty because we don't know what's going to happen in these 2 days. But again, I have no information about the Kevin Durant thing. As I said, I just think they might want to do this more in a friendly thing, so to speak, because Kevin Durant has been a pro's pro until this previous offseason, but he's a star.
Mhm.
When,
Yeah.
when things are going wrong, he's this is the league that we love and watch and are accustomed to now. Stars are the league, and this is what we should be used to.
Hmm.
But again, is there a good trade out there for Kevin Durant at the deadline? I'm not sure.
But
I
the
have no
deadline is
idea.
tough. I think that's why I
Very
think
tough.
it's going to be tough because this wasn't enough time. But
Correct.
if you really want him and you blow away Brooklyn, I'm sure Brooklyn would be like, okay, we might have to consider this, But
Correct.
because if you're a team trading for Kevin Durant, it's not like Kevin Durant's an impending free agent or he has a year left on his deal. He got 3 years left, so you have him for
Exactly
three
right.
years. So it's not like you're
Right.
trading for unknown, like, oh man, is he gonna stay and all that? Like you don't know. You got him for 3 years. He has a no
And
trade. He doesn't have a no trade clause. So
right, and
you get
he's
him. He's with you.
and KD's basically going to be the missing link to a team that's missing that guy, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
Like a I don't know the Grizzlies, so to
The
speak,
Grizzlies
right?
should be all over him.
They should be all over Kevin Durant.
Mhm.
In my opinion, do we see a reunion? Does he go back to Golden State?
Mhm. Well, yeah. I mean,
To
that's
right?
another, like, if you're a piece away, you should be going in on Kevin. Like if the Grizzlies get Kevin Durant and they somehow keep Jaren Jackson Jr. and Desmond Bain in that deal, let's say like that happens, if they somehow work it
Oh,
out,
don't do that to
you
me. Oh
telling
my
me that
goodness.
they're a championship contender. Like,
Oh
but
yeah, no,
if you're
I
Brooklyn,
agree.
but that's the thing is that's why I think it's gonna be difficult to get a pull trade because if you're
Yes.
Brooklyn, why the hell would I take anyone that's not named Desmond Bain or Jaren Jackson Jr. in a trade
Right.
for Kevin? Come on, Kevin
Correct.
Durant, like, so
Yeah.
I would,
Indeed.
what would you be? I don't think the Nets would be happy if you taken Zaire Williams and David
No.
Roddy and young guys and all that,
No.
and taking like a bad, like a Dylan Brooks, or try to make the money work, whatever it is. That's not going to satisfy the Nets and all that, going forward. That's why I
True.
think you gotta, if you're Brooklyn, you gotta sit down the off season and be like, Kevin, we know this is not going to work, right? So we're going to trade you, and but they also have to, not go as rich as they wanted to in this last offseason where they wanted the house, right?
Correct.
They gotta kind of
Yes.
have to be, because they have to. I think this is inevitable. Like I don't think KD will be a Brooklyn Net next year. I truly believe he won't be a net next year. I just think, they tried it, didn't work. It's time to move on. Time for Brooklyn and KD to part ways and all that. But we'll see. If a team's feeling froggy and wants to do something at the deadline, you never know.
Yes.
By the time we get off this show, we might be hearing some. That's just how the NBA is. So we don't know. We really don't know, but it's going to be interesting to see.
Absolutely.
But now you guys just focus on basketball. That's the most important thing. You just focus on ball and you see what happens, And if KD's here for this year, then you guys ball. You still got Kevin Durant on your team, and now you've seen the emergence of Cam Thomas, and you could flip Spencer Dinwiddie because that's been a rumor too that they could flip him, especially with Cam Thomas ball. Like that's the thing too. Like everyone plugged in Spencer as the point guard and all that, but I was like, if I'm Brooklyn, I need to see what we got in Cam Thomas. Do we have a future
absolutely
all-star in our hands that that was riding the bench, for a little bit, So
right, absolutely.
What
agreed.
Do I want Spencer to disrupt that? That's we had 2 40-point games. He had a 44-point game in 29 minutes the other night, and the comeback win with the Wizards.
Yes.
I'm sorry, I want that. I want to see what we got in Cam. I know you're getting with Spencer. You know you're getting with Spencer.
Yeah, we kind of know Spence from our previous years. And it was a nice feel good story. But at the same time, is he really worth our time at the moment, where we can capitalize on another piece, in another deal?
Exactly.
But
man.
Again, he's like let's call a spade too. Spencer Dinwiddie is Spencer Dinwiddie. You know what you're getting. Every team knows what you're getting with Spencer Dinwiddie. But I will say, I don't think Cam Thomas is untouchable.
No, I'm saying, and that's another thing too. And I'm glad you brought that up, because that can also be like, well, we could keep Cam Thomas, and maybe we got a future All-Star, but maybe we could flip him and get someone that will have KD feeling good to stay.
Right.
Because I know if I'm other teams, I'm looking at who I would want for Brooklyn, and I'm like, that Cam Thomas kid, man, 44 points, 47 points. Okay, we might got some. He may be something in this league, So could that be something that they're thinking about? Maybe. I do still think that eventually they will get rid of KD in the offseason and all that, and just go get a younger and all that. But I don't think a full rebuild. I think they're gonna, try to be competitive while trying to, get the roster, get an influx of young guys in the roster and all that. I don't think it's gonna be full out like, all right, we're just blowing everything up, and you also have, there's some bad contract. Joe Harris contract.
Oh.
And that's why you don't pay $90 million to guys who could just shoot the basketball.
You know what? And I've told you this too. If he's not hitting jump shots, and if he's not playing defense, he's nothing.
He's useless.
He's
David Bertans.
Oh man, yes, indeed.
No, I won't disrespect Joe Harris like that. David Bertans is, if you can't shoot, because he never played defense. At least Joe Harris attempts, and Joe Harris sometimes can take you off the dribble. I've seen him do it a few times. Davis Bertans can't do any of that. So if he's shooting mid 30s, low 30% from three, he's really useless. So I won't put Joe Harris as that. Joe Harris had a lot of injuries too.
That's it's a fair point. His injury history and him coming back from his recent surgery has been abysmal. He hasn't been the same guy. He's lost a step per se, but if he's not hitting his open shots, he's nobody. Like we've seen him miss too many big time shots too, where he would have put us over the hump in playoff series, big games, just to get seeding purposes. And talk about the Nets world. Nets world is definitely done with Joe Harris.
Oh yeah,
100%.
That's.
I mean, if you scroll the timeline yesterday and this morning, I mean, I think I even put something out there today. I said, "Hey, sadly, it's your time to go. It was fun. Thank you for everything, but I'm not going to be sad if you go." And that's just real. That's just real. But back to what you said there about making a trade for KD in the offseason. I do agree with you. I think this is the last run of KD and the Nets. If they try and make any sort of run, a deep run in the playoffs, it's
Mm-hmm.
you know, if they want to make a deep run now, the next 2 days, and right now as we speak, is the time to be on every single phone that Sean Marks and the Brooklyn Nets own to get KD a complimentary piece that's not named Nick Claxton right
Can
now.
I throw this trade
Please
or
do.
a player? What
Is
about
it someone we
because I
spoke about the other day?
Pascal Siakam? I've heard that. Is
I've
that
heard that too.
someone?
I
Is
don't
that
know.
someone that
You
would be
tell me.
intriguing? Pascal and
He's
KD?
intriguing. He's intriguing, but does it compete? Or
Does it
do
compete?
we
I
still
mean,
do we still have the same problem? Are we still gonna have the Milwaukee Bucks and the Boston Celtics beating us in a 7-game series? Because
well, yeah,
I
I
still
don't
think
think
they
I
beat
don't. I
us.
think it's you need a very significant piece to be better
I
than
know.
Milwaukee and Boston right now, or even Philly. And those are the teams.
Sure.
Like if you add a Pascal, maybe you're neck and neck with Cleveland, so that could get
Oh,
you in a first round series win potentially. But I don't think. I think you have to make a star like get a star like player return to be better than Philly, Milwaukee, and
yes.
Boston. And I
See,
don't know who that star. You just had 2 stars, so it's hard
I
to get
know.
stars. Especially it's not easy, and there's not a lot of stars that are available. So
No,
that
there's
makes it
not.
tricky. And then you just went through the Kyrie stuff and obviously the James stuff, and I'm sure Joe Size is like, can we just get to basketball? So that's why I truly feel like it's like, all right, let's just we learn from this. And also I could see that they just weren't ready for this. They weren't ready to
No,
handle
they weren't.
this. And not every organization is. Not every organization is. Like sometimes
Correct.
it's tough for owners and GMs to stand up to stars, and that's what happened. But that's what happened. They just weren't built to because at one point Sean Marks was like the GM of the year. Everyone was saying like he is the best GM. What he was able to do with no picks and all that, and rebuilt the roster to get Kevin Durant and Kyrie. So I still think there's a GM in there that knows what he's doing. He's just they sold their soul. They gave a little bit too much to Kevin Durant and Kyrie. Let them stranglehold the franchise a little too much. Joe Tsai too, and it backfired. And they just didn't know how to handle that. And I think this is a big learning lesson because especially like we know basketball is a different business than probably any other business Joe Tsai has ever been involved with. Right? Basketball is different. Right. It is a different animal. So like you're handling people differently. Especially millionaire players who are more valuable to than you are. Like so and powerful. They're probably, in any other business, there's no one more powerful than them. In this business, the players are just as powerful as the owner, right? If not more. So I just think they couldn't figure it out. And I think this is a learning lesson in business for Joe Tsai. I'm sure he learned a lot and all that, how to take more control. And you see that he was trying to take more control with the Kyrie stuff. And, eventually they wound up trading him. But like I mentioned before, I don't blame them for going after KD and Kyrie because I wanted, especially Kevin Durant, to be in New York, and I'm sure a lot of teams would have loved him too. But
how could you not?
It didn't work out. Yeah, like I didn't want Kevin Durant, even off the injury, and all that. I think I was still willing to risk not having him for a year, and but it didn't work out, and stuff out, but. Whether they try to make a trade to help Kevin Durant or they just going to be like, hey, we're just going to make a few pieces here to be competitive. And in the offseason is where we figure things out with the next direction of this franchise because that's going to be a pivotal point for them. So going to be interesting times. It's going to be interesting times. Going to be interesting offseason. It's always interesting at the deadline, because like I said, we could hear something the minute we get off this show. And we hear that Kevin Durant is requested a trade, and then an hour later he's somewhere. So,
correct.
it's a learning lesson, man. It's a learning lesson, and like I said, I just from what I see, I feel like a lot of Nets fans feel relieved. Like, okay, it's finally over. It sucked that it didn't go away we wanted to, but it happens. It happens. It's easy to me to trash the Nets and all that, but I have no I have no reason to trash. I know there's a lot of fans that want to do that. I don't. It's whatever. It didn't work out. It didn't work out. I'm more worried about my team trying to, figure out their own direction.
Of
Per se.
course.
So
Yeah.
it's like, but it didn't work out. That's okay. They learned. You figured out in the offseason with KD and all that, and you try to get as much as you can for KD if that's the way to go, or if you feel like if Cam Thomas is balling out and you want to use him as a trade piece to get another star and go that route again. I don't know if that's the way they feel. They probably just, like I said, want to get back to ball. So, but
No doubt about it.
it's
No doubt about it.
it was like I said, Kyrie. There was a lot of. I know a lot of people want to blame Kyrie for a lot of things. And listen, there's stuff that he did on his own volition that's like, all right, I wouldn't have done that, Kai. That I wouldn't have handled it that way. But there's also stuff that's out of control. Mentioned the vaccine stuff. That's nothing he could do about that because he would have played. And also one thing, a lot of people have said he doesn't love basketball, and I think that's false. And I think that's not even true at all. I think he loves ball. I think he hates the politics of basketball. And him and KD are both the same. I feel like they don't like some of the politics of basketball, and what some just how they go about certain things. I don't think they love ball because to be that good, you have to love ball. There's just the politics, and you've seen this. How many guys in the league that should be in the league right now because of the politics of basketball aren't in the league? We know there's too many guys that are not in the league that you're like, wait, like Michael Beasley's not in the NBA. Like Michael Beasley could give guys 20 on their head, but there's like a stigma around him, and that's hurt him that he's and now why he's not in the NBA. Like it doesn't make sense. Like he's your favorite player's favorite player. That's KD's that guy. That's KD's favorite player. Like but I truly just feel like he doesn't like the politics, and that's okay. Like that's all right. Like you love your job, love what you do, but not like how it's, the job is ran, right?
Sure, absolutely.
Feel me, right? Like, so like,
yes,
indeed. That's, and I think, I don't know why with the basketball players and all and athletes, people like don't see it that way when, probably their own job, they feel that way. But what can I say? But the Kyrie era is over in Brooklyn. Only one playoff series win and all that. But, just a lot that happened in Brooklyn and all that. But what's the feeling for the rest of the season? Are you still feeling good? Let's say Kevin Durant is still a member of Brooklyn for this year. How are we feeling? Let's say the roster is what it is. How are we feeling going? Because right now you're a half game behind for the 4th seed. Who's the 4th seed right now? Cleveland. So, you're only a half game behind. So you get the top 4 seed, you get home court advantage in the first round at least.
Yeah.
And you still got Kevin Durant on your team, so I think
exactly right.
That's the thing. You still got 7. So for now, so even if it's just for the rest of for the next 30 games or whatever amount of games are left, 26 games, you still got KD on your roster. So
to answer that question, how I feel going ahead, defensively, I think we've improved. And I think we've got
massive improvement.
Yeah, and I think we got a little bit longer and athleticer. Is that a word? No, more.
I don't think athletic is a word, but hey, we could use it. We could,
yeah, we got more athletic.
You could call it Webster's dictionary and then add that.
Forgive me, I only had one cup of
Claxton, man. He's most improved candidate, defensive player of the year candidate. He's been
the biggest difference
maker.
And I'll tell you something. I don't think you can move him.
No.
I think people are gonna want him. Teams are gonna want him, but you got to hold off because let's be honest. You got your 3 first-round picks. You got a terrible contracts to use in Joe Harris. I hope maybe Sean Marks pulls off the inevitable and. trades Ben Simmons because Ben Simmons
Oh,
has
I
not
didn't even
been.
mention Ben Hannon. I'm sorry.
I mean, how can I blame you?
I'm
Ben has
sorry.
been.
I'm sorry you guys
Don't be
have him on
sorry.
your team.
I mean, he does nothing other than play some defense and get a couple rebounds, honestly, and throw the ball to KD. And
And
you
then
know what?
gets
He
late
doesn't
game
have
scratches because somehow
he,
his knee hurts or his toe hurts.
correct.
It's crazy, man. That's just
It is crazy, and I don't want to bash him too much because I mean I
yeah.
think we talked
But
last time too
but
about him.
but it's not
I
even
like Ben.
bashing. It's just like he's doing it to himself. It's like, dude, like, come on now. At this point, it's like, all right, we can't
I
keep
mean,
defending you or feeling bad for you.
correct.
It's like, like you're not playing good basketball at all. Like that's fair. You could say he's not good right now. He's
He's
a
not.
useless player, and it's crazy because there's so much play. But that
He
series
was
versus
so
Atlanta
nice.
may have just cooked him, and it's crazy how that could happen to a player.
It's insane, and I like to think it's all confidence, and he has no confidence in himself right now.
Zero.
Zero.
It's like the Markel Fultz situation. Like you just lose your confidence. And listen, we both play ball. If you're not confident, like your mind can just go 1,000 places, and you forget how to play basketball. And
very
you're just
easily.
like, whoa. Like this is not how I play. But you just whatever happened to Ben Simmons in that Atlanta series has affected him for the last 2+ years. It has just been absolutely wild to see a guy who was an all NBA. People are saying he should have won defensive, including myself, defensive player of the year that year. Like we're all NBA type player, all-star, and he's a shell of himself. And it's just like, whoa. Like elite, they probably thought, all right, we traded James, or at least we're gonna get Ben. Maybe he'll give you confidence.
Yeah.
And it's just everything they've just tried to have done is just backfired on them, and that's why I'm just like, they just be like, can we just go back from scratch and just get back, because the Ben thing is going to be really tough to try to get out of that contract. That's a tough contract to get out of.
If Marks can do that and get him off the books, attach him with some kind of
pick, it's got to be a pick. You got to attach it to. Maybe that's why they're
it's got to be
trying
multiple
to get picks. Yeah,
multiple.
So take that contract. I'm gonna go look at his contract quick.
It's something like ridiculous.
It's I gotta pull up here. It's loading up, but yeah, I think it's something. It's got to be something like that where you have to attach assets. Because he's making 35 this year, 37 next year, 40 in 2020, and like a player option. He has, I think it's a player option for 25, 26. That's 40. So I mean, you got him for another 2 years. Is that a player option or a team option? I think that's I'm not sure, but at least 2 more years of him. So like, good luck. Good luck trying to get rid of him. Like, you're gonna have to, and that's the thing. That's going to be another big thing, because there's no way if I'm Kevin Durant, I'm like, all right, so if we don't make any of the moves, you're telling me it's me and him, it's me and Ben, and that's a fair. That's if I'm KD, I'm definitely like. Now I have to axe out again, guys. Like, you're forcing my hand, I'm not playing with
that point. Yeah. At that point, it is what it is, and I like to think too, like Ben and KD had some moments on the floor together this year where you're like, wow, he's finding KD in his spots, and they played kind of decent together from my eyes, but I'm kind of biased because I I'm a fan of the team, but my goodness, I mean, if there's anything that has to be done, it's Sean Marks has to make 2 moves to try and get some kind of combo guard forward that can play defense and hit shots and defend, and a complementary piece that can do things that Ben Simmons does not do to help KD. And I think he has a very tough workload ahead of him. And I'm not thinking positively with this. I don't think they have enough to make those 2 moves, but I'd love to see him try, and I'd love to see him do it. I just don't think it's going to happen. And let's be honest, the NBA that we're in today, we're not going to see another big buyout market like we have seen in the past.
No, definitely not. Man. It's going to be
so they're in troubled waters right now.
Yep, it could be tough because, like I said, the trade market too. It's kind of expensive with a lot of teams in it trying
Yeah.
to get to trying to contend. So it's going to be interesting. But yeah, it's crazy times in Brooklyn. We'll see what happens.
Yeah.
For the future for this team going forward. But they're still sitting at fifth place right now in the East. Is the half game out for the fourth seed. They're going to be playing. What are they? Phoenix today, as we speak.
Phoenix tonight. Yeah.
Yeah, they play Phoenix tonight, and so we'll see what happens. KD's supposed to be coming back maybe by the end of the month or in a few weeks. We'll see what happens. If he comes back, who knows what's going to happen with that. But interesting times in Brooklyn. But man, I appreciate you coming on, bro.
Yes, sir. Oh, thank you for having me. And before we hang up and go away from each other, I gotta ask,
Shoot.
who you like Sunday?
Super Bowl Sunday. You know how I feel.
Oh man,
I need to see that Eagle just get shot down. I can't do it.
my man.
I can't do it.
It's been a while since we talked football too. I had to sneak that in there.
I can't.
You still owe me dinner from the first one.
Oh well, no, double or nothing.
Oh,
Double or nothing. Double or nothing.
My God.
Double or nothing.
God.
If
Sounds
the
good,
Eagles,
sounds
if the
good.
Eagles win, man, oh man, break my heart again. But you guys already won, so this one won't hurt as much. It won't hurt as
Fair
much.
enough.
Fair enough.
enough.
But my man, I appreciate you. Make sure to follow him at what is it? BKN. You tell them where they
BKN.
find.
Yeah, everyone listening can follow me at BKN_says. Obviously, I do some writing for the Prez right here. I appreciate him giving me a platform.
Yeah.
I've been falling off a little bit. I've been busy. Family life, work life is tough, but I appreciate everyone giving me the time, and obviously you. Big thank you to you.
For sure, bro. You in deep in Nets culture. You got a lot of big heads. That you interact with and all that. So you getting big.
Yeah,
time,
I'm trying, man. I'm trying. I appreciate everybody interacting with me and giving me, a voice of conversation, or at least ask a question and getting any kind of responses. Very appreciative and very happy where this has taken me. So
yeah.
Also, I think we need a better Nets beat over there. I mean, my goodness, these guys just bash this team from within. They don't ask the right questions. Bad? My goodness, we need something, man. Get back to basketball for real. Get these guys some real questions.
No, you're right, bro. You're right. But
I'm sorry.
Maybe it's time. Maybe with Kai not there, because now that doesn't give him a trigger. Because Kai is a trigger. You say that name, it triggers people. So, and you know how New York media is. How ruthless they are. So
yeah.
That wasn't a good. That wasn't a good combination. Kyrie and New York media. I don't know how Dallas media is, but they're definitely not like our media. So definitely, because our media, I mean, they could be ruthless. And sometimes you get why people don't want to play here. And now for Brooklyn, people be like, well, they even go to Brooklyn, they attack the Nets too. Okay, we gotta reconsider. So, but you know how our media is. That's just in general with all types of news in New York. So, but guys in Dallas, I don't know how they are there. I'm sure not as bad here. So, but yeah, you guys definitely. Your media, how you guys cover could definitely be a little better. I could say that about us too, but we got some good guys that cover the Knicks though. So,
I would say your guys outweigh ours. But my man, if there's anybody listening to this that needs any kind of coverage over there in Brooklyn, man, I'm ready.
Yeah, get my guy. There's you guys have a lot of platforms that you probably need some better coverage, and you're
my goodness,
you're a realist, so we got to get you there. But you get there, bro. You're making your waves, little by little. So that's cool to see from afar. So I'm always, even though I'm a fan of the opposite, team from the over the bridge. I respect good work regardless of the team. So keep putting out great work for the network, for Off the Ball, and keep killing it with all your Nets covered, bro. And we'll definitely be talking soon.
Sounds good, my man. I appreciate that. Thank you. And you keep doing you. And hopefully we link soon.
For sure, bro. So that's going to conclude another episode of Off the Ball podcast. And I am out. Peace out.